So over to you, Mr. Gary, for this moderating this panel discussion. I would like to see people are also involved in this discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Dog. Hi, good afternoon. It's great. I think what was happening just now was awesome when practical challenges and discussions were being done. Yes, we'll just do a little bit of a spice up of those because we'll have more people to answer. And we'll really run this panel. We want to ensure that it's a very practical discussion because a lot of time when we're talking about AI and generative AI, it does start slipping into future. Near future is okay. That's what we'll try to do. What has been done and how things are being done. And what is immediate future where things are already taking shape. So that's going to be the focus of this panel discussion when we're going to talk about real world perspective on AI in security. And really awesome panel which is here. I'd like to request all panelists to please join me on the stage. And while they join, please give them a big round of applause. Mr. D.P. Srinivas, co-founder and CRO for Durang. Mr. Venu Prasad, Managing Director for Telangana Fiber Grid Corporation. Mr. JVS Ramakrishna, Global Head, Smart World. Good to have you back, Rama. Please have a seat. Mr. Bharnidharan, Chief Information Officer, ProConnect Logistics Solutions. Welcome, sir. And Mr. Vamsi Krishna, CEO for Durang Tech Services. Great. Thank you for being on the stage. And I think my role is more of moderation. I'm not part of the panel, so questions will be directed by people and by me. Great. So thank you for being on the stage. And I think my role is more of moderation. I'm not part of the panel, so questions will be directed by people and by me. Confidentiality, so you cannot name the client. But if you can name the technology, name how it was done. So if you can give us a problem, and here is the generative AI solution. And maybe, if possible, also show the impact that this is what is impact of that implementation. Because we want to talk about real world. We don't want to talk about far future. Real world and near future where things will be seen practically that this is how it has. So over to you with this first question.
Thanks, Gary. Connecting technology to the real time is one of the important aspects. Like you said, technology can be talked for the future, but what is implemented today is very important, right? So we have multiple implementations that we have done on a use case scenarios. I think, I mentioned one of the ones was the sugarcane mills, which I already mentioned, which was a real-time scenario because the shutting down of the crusher on a peak season will take at least minimum 6 to 8 hours of wastage in terms of lineup of the trucks, tractors, and everything to come. Gary, I have actually mentioned it. I think you stepped out for coffee or something. So that was one of the very important aspect for the sugar mills where the continuous crushing has to happen in the season. And even if the downtime is like a couple of hours, it will become a big mess. So we have done that using a cloud analysis. All the way the return path was from the cloud. Cameras are feeding data through the standard internet process and then going to the cloud and then identifying a foreign object, non-sugarcane object on the sugar conveyor belt, sending back the message to the relay device which actually shuts off. So that's one of the things. But apart from that, we have already done a lot of factory side of implementations with the occupational safety. More primarily into the alert mechanisms where if the specific equipment is, moving equipment is closer to the human being, where we do the strobe light or the hooter immediately switched on, and also that information is sent to the floor managers, which will actually captured and then analyzed later part for the near misses and fatal predictions, possibilities of the fatal predictions. So those are the ones, and there are a lot more in our things we can explain a little later. I want to give a chance to the others to contribute.
No, thank you, Srini, and maybe from there I do want to go to Mr. Bharnidharan and seek his help. that as of now, we're just getting too exuberant about AI. But how much of this information and data is going out? This is also unnerving, especially if you're a financial sector company or even a lot of data. Now, Data Protection Act is coming in. There is going to be a huge amount of impact of that act on everything that we do. So with over-enthusiasm of AI, information to be protected, Data Protection Act coming up, do you really see this can flourish, or do you see that there are going to be more controls coming up that can actually end up being predicament in terms of everything that's being planned today?
Okay. It's a great question. In fact, this is how we feared when cloud came in, right? When we moved from an on-premise to a cloud, this was one of the biggest problem whatever we had. We thought that our data is going to reside somewhere else. But when it is in on-premise, it was our asset, right? So this keeps moving. If you really look at, this is cyclic. Okay, so the same cyclic pattern is also happening in LLMs. Okay, so just a month back, I had a conversation with one of a technologist where we were having a discussion of building a SLM. We call it small language model, which is more to do with our this one. In fact, I think Durank also has built one on their this one. So what really happens with this SLM is basically it is more specific. Okay, it does not really get into a large amount of data available, but data availability to a level where you can only solve those specific problems. If you really look at the kind of problems what we solve for our businesses are more within. And when I look at external problems, it is more for the leadership to solve. See, we don't look at line managers to solve competitor problems, right? No, like we take it at a strategic level. So operational as well as tactical, SLMs can address. LLMs are required when you are trying to take data outside the system. And that also today, people have really done a great job in trying to teach these SLMs with external data what is relevant alone. So that way what happens is, earlier when you share the data to LLM, your data you are giving there. Okay, but when you are having your data within the SLM, you are only pulling what data is required for you from the LLM, then your data is still secure. And another point what you brought in terms of the DPDP, whatever we are talking about, we are really grappling a lot with that particular this one, because this is an act which is still under discussion, and any moment it can come in. So still there are a lot of gray areas which need to be answered in terms of practicality. So there is a lot of discussions happening about that. But certain things which are very obvious, we are trying to put things into place and perspective. Particularly if you look at ISO 27001 is a very good aspect of trying to put your things into place. And with that, you will be having a robust risk management procedure and other things which are available. And you will be still in a position to address those specific risks. And what he was telling from L&T, the risk is also very evolving. It is not the way we envisage the risk in a quarter, next quarter something else props up. So it's a continuous process. There is a continuous process of risk generation, and then trying to address those risks and trying to kind of move on. But this was not the case in the beginning. In fact, I actually moved from a manufacturing kind of an industry where we used to have long-term plans. Okay, today long-term plans are those what we say as short-term plans. So that's how basically we try to look at. But DPDP is getting in a very big way. There is a lot of things which are going to look at, and I think what Srinivas was also addressing as a metadata is another point of answer to this as well. I think they are in the right direction. We are trying to take the digital data into metadata And a lot of transformations are happening if you really look at. But at this stage, it is a thin line. We cannot say our data is safe. We cannot say our data is unsafe. But we need to kind of keep experimenting and moving on. So that is what, but we need to be careful.
No, thank you, sir. That's very incisive and very balanced approach that how it may help and it may also maybe guide us more. So I'll go to Mr. Ramakrishna, but before I ask him a question, I do want to mention that he brought a very, very important subject in his discussion when the question was asked about the traffic, that there was a pilot done. In that answer, if you notice, technology didn't fail, which means technology has the capability to provide what we were asking. We want quick ambulance movement and everything else. But it's our own civic sense as well that becomes important, and something which when we talk about traffic, one of the favorite things I do want to tell people, and I do want to alarm them, that we almost kill around 2 lakh people on roads in India. For this, no Pakistani comes in, no Chinese comes in, there's nobody, no terrorist comes in. We kill each other. That's the reality. We have 1% of global vehicles, and we have 15% of global fatalities on road. That's actually the real situation if you talk about. And from here, I want to go back to Mr. Ramakrishnan and talk about, you've done a lot of large projects, which are public projects in a way. And the example you gave of the failure is again a large project which we all want, but we are not ready to contribute. So in this case, how exactly the public-private partnership can come in? How come the safety and security remains a responsibility of the government? We don't want to contribute. We don't want to share our responsibility. If something goes wrong, let's do finger pointing at government. Is there a solution? You've done large projects. That's the reason I'm asking you. Can there be a public-private partnership and merge together, use generative AI, use the natural stupidity that we have, and everything together to reach a good solution?
It's a loaded question for me to answer, but see, there are two things in terms of the public infrastructure business what we are talking about. Unfortunately, the setup what we have, everything goes free. Because of that, there is some of the implementation becomes extremely difficult. The other day I was having a conversation with somebody in US where they are talking about a PPP in terms of industries and people contributing towards the data. Okay. So the model which they're exploring is if they can incentivize the people who provide the data and then be customers of usage of the data on a payable basis. As the expectations that will bring a lot of responsibility and value what we are supposed to do. Coming back to the scenario what we are talking about is, especially in the traffic, a lot of work, a lot of data for all these things it's all data, right? A lot of data can come from the public partnership which will come in, and there should be a mechanism of helping them, giving back the insights. What's happening is, if you see security as a subject, that's the easy thing which everybody can expect. We all expect that, everything should be safe, everything should be smooth, and I won't pay any money. Somebody has to pay for that, right? So there should be some participation from the public in terms of contribution of the data. Okay, something like we were actually deliberating at some point of time about the tiered insights. Okay, unless you pay for it, you don't really appreciate the usage of that.
Right.
So I think broad level, other than that, in the public infrastructure, what we do, the traffic, environment and utility and all, they pretty much, I think India had the advantage of adopting fast. But on the ground, how do we do that? One example, many people have implemented, for example, pedestrians crossing the road. Though it's not a PPP, randomly if you cross the road, there'll be a big hooter actually coming in.
Right.
So there are certain things which will help in improving the civic sense. But pretty much I think the technology is there, solution is there. It's all about adoption, you know.
Oh, great, thank you. At least showing some path, there is a possibility, because that's really neat. And we all want it, but we're not contributing to it. So that's one portion we all need to think about as well. Coming to you, Vamsi, I'll ask a question and then maybe give you a little time to think about it as well. I know you have a great product which is doing great work. So if I ask you that one feature which you've seen giving maximum utility with some example, so that we know, and secondly, I know you're doing a lot of R&D. What is the next one big feature, your dream feature, which you can plug in? But before he answers, I do want to say that it's a panel discussion, so here are panelists. We all are supposed to ask questions. So I'll come to you if you raise your hand after he answers. I'll request you please share your name, your background, so that you exactly can give your details. And then, if possible, do let me know to whom you want to ask the question. So that is the way we'll work. Yes, we have 4 expert panelists. I know a lot of experts are there in the room as well. If you prefer to be the 5th panelist and you have an example to give, we welcome that as well. So that's how after Vamsi gives his answer, just if you raise your hand, I'll come to you, and then we'll do it together. So over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Gary. So I'll take an example from what our product is, right? For the first question that you asked. In terms of the features that we build, what is the most used feature? Like any product, it will have multiple features. You have the example of Excel. How much of Excel do we use and what kind of features it has? So it's the same for everything. And what we deem inside in the 4 walls of our office and in our conference rooms, what we think is utility, may be utility for some, may not be utility for some. So what we try to do is build something that probably can be used by most. That's how any product management looks at. What will be the most useful feature that to be maybe productized, like Ramakrishna was saying earlier. Basically, the idea for us is to productize something that can be used by multiple people. It's not a single solution that we are trying to build for some specific purpose. Though we do some projects, that's a separate aspect. But since we're talking about a product, so let me take that. So what is common across multiple features is the command center aspect of it. So what I feel is probably the most used feature is you get alerts, whether you get it after 5 seconds, you get it in real time or near real time. End of the day, where is that alert going? It has to come to the command center and somebody has to act on it. So the features that you provide around that is what I feel is the best from our most used, let me say, from our solution, wherein when an alert comes, you're not just getting an alert popping up something with just text, but you have an image of it. You also have a live view of that particular camera on which that event got triggered. And our ability to analyze multiple feeds from multiple cameras, multiple brands of cameras, is something that is of most use for customers. Because see, CCTV has been all pervasive for a long time now. There is no place where we don't have cameras, like Dominic was mentioning, except our privacy. But everywhere else we have cameras. And what are we doing with those cameras? Can we derive intelligence out of those cameras is how Durank was born. To do more with surveillance is our tagline. So our ability to be able to connect to your existing infrastructure, whatever it be, whether it is network infrastructure in terms of your broadband connectivity, 5G connectivity, whether it is in terms of the cameras that you have, analog, IP, whatever type of cameras, that is the core feature that is of most use. So I'll probably stop at those 2 aspects of important ones. And what is my dream feature that we are building is what I think Mr. Srinivas also alluded to earlier, in terms of the ability to give the analytic into the hands of the customer is what we are dreaming instead of we building, because there is no way in this world that I can think of all the scenarios of so many verticals. So what we're trying to do is what is the best way for us to put that on the customer who knows his environment best, because the environment may be different for each customer of each vertical also, even in the same vertical. So we are trying to see what is the best way where we can give that option to the customer so he can define his scenario, and then the AI uses that and triggers the alerts based on that. That's what we are working on, and that's going to be the dream feature.
Oh, wonderful that you're almost talking like Google. Let's make an Android platform when everybody can code. So that's big thing. Very nice. On your desk, can you get this mic, please, which is in my hand? Audio desk? Yeah, it's on. It's on. also needed. So we have first question from here. Please introduce yourself and then.
So yeah, hi everyone. My name is Sai Lokesh. I'm a data scientist from EY. So I have a crystal clear question to Srini. So how Duranic has cracked the code? Yeah. How you have cracked the code of processing real-time data that is coming to your servers and creating metadata out of it?
Yeah, have a seat. So he's actually trying to take your IPR away. We give you a choice, you want to answer or not answer.
Right? Yeah. See, the open architecture is in terms of how we interact with the other systems. It is not like how we open up and then allow you to do what you want to do with us.
I think that gives their answer. Anybody else? Please raise your hand. I'll come to you. And yeah, okay. Let's give question and session to everybody. If there is time in the end, we'll come back to you.
Yeah, hi. This is Sandeep. I'm working with a startup and I'm a QA, like work on automation and security. So as GenAI is multiplying the productivity of every employee, like say which we used to do in take a work for a week, now we are able to complete it in few hours. So there are like a lot of careers in the risks. So earlier the project used to take like 100 employees. Now we are able to do it with like 30 to 40 employees with the help of AI. So few of the careers are in the risk, and also like a lot of grads are coming in every year. So what's your suggestion in terms of like working on the GenAI, like how can we like keep our careers safe on working of the AI? Like can you suggest?
I think Mr. Bharidhan want to answer that. But
I can
again,
answer you this.
looks like we have very, very smart people in the room.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
somebody wants IPR, and I think he almost did marketing of the product he's making here. So, wonderful audience. But
Okay.
please go ahead and answer.
Yeah. So I'm just relating to some of my experience before, because earlier I was working with Titan Industries. And at that point of time, we were talking about lightless factories. Okay. And good thing happened is I had an opportunity to be in a lightless factory in Seco physically. I was there within the factory for 3 months, okay, which was a big experience for me. And the 3 months, my job was to build a machine inside, but ended up in looking at a lot of lightless things which are really happening behind. And there were few employees only in the factory who were coming in and only handling on alerts. Okay, and they will come in the morning only. That is, when the night the machines are running, it will be running without any this one. In fact, I was stationed in the office itself because the climate was very bad. It was 27 degrees minus. So I couldn't really get out of the office. So I have to stay within the office premises itself. And it was really great going around all the machines and watching what is happening and other things, alerts just coming in and all. And then my boss was asking, saying that now if this situation is going to happen in India, what are we going to do? So they brought it in because they have a crunch in terms of labor resources, whereas we have a lot of labor resources. But if you really look at, there are many factories which have started coming in India as well. And if you really look at, when we step into one situation, our aspirations grow, our demands grow. Okay. Did we even imagine that we will spend a lakh rupees on a mobile phone? Okay. When we said no, like my father did not buy a 25,000 rupees TV for 5 years. Okay, that was the situation, right? But today, if you really look at, a child has some phone, what is available on hand, at least some 20, 30,000 rupees. Okay, so that means situations are changing. Only if you really stagnate your mindset in settling into what I do, I'll keep doing. I'll not try to look at what is ahead of me, then you are a loser in the game. Okay, try to adopt. Okay, this speed, whatever is being given by something else, is giving you an opportunity to work in some other area. So be open and looking and find out that area and try to work in that particular area. That is very, very important. So if you are really not looking in that particular area, it is very difficult. See, from my experience, I am telling, I have been a mechanical engineer, but today I am a CIO. Okay, and how did this transformation happen? So it was constantly looking at, like what next, what is really happening. So today I am laying hands on AI and other things, trying to do experimentation, trying to understand what it is capable of doing, and other this one. Once you start engaging, you understand the problem. Once you understand the problem, you will find a solution. But you need to dwell in that scenario. And I used to tell that, like if you want to become a president of America, you have to be in America. Okay, you cannot sit here and then think about America, right? So that means you need to be in this one. That is, you need to be present in that situation. Once you are present, you will get to the answer. Okay, only advice to students who are getting in over there, who really cannot get a job and other things. Patience and continuous trying is very, very important. You need to do that. And any employee who is getting out in this one will always have this problem. Even I had it. I floated 1,500 applications manually when I finished my engineering. Okay, so which was humongous, right? And if you really look at, I didn't get an answer from multiple places, right? But the thing is, idea here is, how are you increasing the opportunities? So if the denominator is increasing, then you have the chances of the numerator hitting is going to become higher. So please try in those lines.
Sure, that's wonderful. And I think, yeah, please go ahead.
See, this entire subject of AI replacing the human resources has been a long process debate, right? Unless you realign, unless you retrain and reskill yourself, there is no other way that but for becoming obsolete. I mean, those days when we were in US working in factories for mainframe systems back in 1999, 2000, we thought that is the whole game, right? You don't need to learn anything. But soon enough, Microsoft technologies started coming in, and then other things started coming in. You start realigning yourself. AI today is increasing your opportunity to enable yourself in many of the areas which they need your time and energy and the skill. So retraining yourself and aligning, like what Bandhidharan was saying, you need to realign yourself and see where the future it is going in the technology. Technology is not stagnant. It will not stay for you forever, where what you are doing today will be retiring in the same position or in the same knowledge or same technology. You need to realign yourself. It's not going to stop. It's going to expand, and progressively it is going to change. And it may change every 6 months also in the future.
Oh, thank you, Srini, and thank you, Bandhidharanji. It's great. And somewhere or the other, I love to connect back to India. I love India, and that's where one of the best models in the world lie. And in fact, if you look at even the IT world, how it started taking shape, just go 20 years back, everybody was very static. Microsoft, here's my product, take it or leave it, right? McDonald's, what burger I find in Chicago, I want the same in Florida. That's the kind of thing they used to talk about. Whereas India always, with all that diversity we had very customized solutions, right? Even a mother in Indian home knows that my son may wake up, will like to have a sunny side up with more salt, and my daughter may like to have an omelette with less salt. So it's part of our DNA to so much customize. And that's exactly every large IT company and everybody is doing. Now Microsoft says, you need license, okay, take it in this portion. You just need this much, you only need it for 3 months, I'll give it to you for 3 months. Adobe, again, licenses, how much customization there. So that's where the model lies. And I think, considering I heard that Hyderabad is now going to come up with a full AI campus, I think this should be the center of excellence for the world, not only for India. That's the ability we have because we grow up understanding diversity, understanding customization, and I think we are the most suitable race on this planet to make AI which will work for everybody. So that's where we are, and I think we need to be more open to accepting and and doing work on it, and not let somebody else have the strategic leadership as it has happened in few other industries. But that, yes, still we are open to, we know smart audience, but that only means that we'll encourage you to ask more questions. Yes, Abhijit is there.
Am I audible, sir?
Yeah, still use it. Because it'll also get recorded. So you're part of the session.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Colonel Abhijit. I retired from the armed forces a couple of years back, and now I'm looking after the security of an organization based out of Delhi. The keynote speakers and Srini sir and everybody, all the speakers who are here, they've definitely made us think that yes, generative AI is a part of our lives and is going to play a more critical part in the coming years as it keeps developing. But as with everything, there's always a flip side. There are going to be certain challenges in the form of the biases which the system will create when it's learning. And also, we would like to take a caution on the model drifts which are going to be there. So my question is, are these challenges in the form of biases and the drifts going to be very critical for us? If no, then it's fine. But if yes, how are we going to take care of it? Since all of you have been in this field and been working on it, the question is open for anyone. Thank you.
I will push it to yes, Ramakrishna. Thank you. Thanks for the question.
No, this is a thanks for the question, and it's a very important subject. See, biases have been there before AI, and it will continue after AI also, right? It's all about how, as human beings, we are able to put a structure to filter out the biases. We'll still have to continue even with AI. So this whole story of AI biasing, कि आप एक data से you train, the same bias will come out. It's all human driven, right? I mean, at the end of the day, okay. So bias is going to be a big issue. That's the reason most of the speakers are talking about. See, many about human intervention. In fact, though we all talk about AI, Gen AI as jargon, right? Ultimately, what we do is about how do we augment the human intelligence is what we are doing. So that augmented intelligence is what actually is going to help with some sort of framework to remove the biases, you know, at the source level or output level. So it's going same thing. So I won't see bringing AI is going to change the way we behave. We may be more efficient, fair enough, right? So I think those frameworks will still continue. And it's a reality, you know, if you do not have those frameworks, because there are many models which are trained on certain biased data are actually giving, they shall give biased output, which is not so welcome from the ethical point of view. But who decides ethics? So there should be a framework for that.
Oh, thank you. And maybe if I take the liberty to add on a comment here, that Abhijit, ultimately, if you look at the completion of process, technology actually gives you a non-biased result. Because if you look at a very, very mundane thing, there is a guard. He's supposed to check and let vehicles pass off by checking whatever he's checking. The moment it's a Mercedes, he's overwhelmed. Irrespective of whosoever is inside, lets it pass. Whereas a boom barrier will only look for the RFID or that code which will. So ultimate product, after the learning process is over, is far more unbiased. So I think maybe yes, we have to go through that painful process. अगर स्वर्ग देखना है तो मरना तो पड़ेगा. तो इसलिए थोड़ा सा मरना पड़ेगा. But I think maybe the end result maybe is a better unbiased impact on security rather than a bias which continues in a human mind, because even the behavior can change. What I've done at home and what I'm looking in news, or maybe what I've just heard few minutes back on a phone call, will change my behavior, whereas the AI and technology will still show more consistency in the result they'll produce.
You actually articulated it very well, because both of your answers have the complete 360-degree cycle of that. If we say that AI is having bias, is HI not having bias? Human intelligence not having bias? I mean, this ethical question of human intelligence having bias has always been there, right? So what we are creating is out of our own intelligence into a technology product, right? Technology. So the learning that is going from us to the systems is, well, there will be some of biases, but how do you mitigate that? But the only thing is, human intelligence can be a smaller portion if I have a bias, but if that is translated into AI, it may be exponential. So where do we do that ethical modification and ethical intrusion into it and then try to mitigate it is what we have to see in the future. But right now, you cannot really separate them. It is there involved in it. So you have to live with it right now, but how much it is impacting is what we need to analyze, that's all.
Sure, sure. Sure, while Mr. Bharadyan also comment, but I do want to say that I see a lot of naturally more intelligent people in the room, which is the female species than male. I do want you to ask questions as well, or if you have understood everything, that's awesome. But we do hope some questions come from naturally more intelligent species in the room. So I'm going to hand over the mic to one of you very soon. Over to you.
So it's a good one, no? Like bias is everywhere, and in fact, if you look at, there are models based on failure mode effective analysis, which are available currently. And generally, what we normally do is we try to kind of assess the bias on the data and assess the bias on the model. Okay, so certain times what happens is if the data itself, underlying data itself has a bias, then you may get, and you can see that, like if you really start experimenting with your AI models which are available in the market, and when you ask something, you get something else. Okay, so you know that basically it is because that's why prompt engineering is becoming a big area where even you should know how to ask, right? And then the underlying data, that's where people are talking about training it, right? And it is like an assisted learning, what needs to happen. And why we do assisted learning is to improve the like correctness and remove the bias. Okay, and the model itself, you cannot say that the model itself is going to be this one, because what happens is the model, again, it depends upon the number of data, whatever it has. More the data, that's why you are getting the next level of model, which has is evolving and continuously coming. The other side, if you really look at, there is also a pace of hardware also changing. So we are getting GPUs, you are getting TPUs and all that which are coming in today. And the way the models are, and again, you need to really look at, please understand, in this particular thing, not everything can be used for everything, right? An AI trained on certain models can only help to that extent. Okay, and you cannot generically say that I tried in this AI model and this AI model, somewhere it will have a problem. And you really look at, again, the AI model's inputs and outputs are going to be different. And it changes across models. If you see certain areas, text may be an input. Certain areas, image can be an input. Certain areas, videos can be an input. The output can be anything else in the similar this one. So, see, keep watching. So, the only thing what you need to this one is, see, while AI is something, like everybody is grappling to understand, you need to slowly start getting it. And more people understand, more the usage starts. Because initially, you just imagine the social media. When it came in, I had a Facebook account first, opened it, and nearly for 3 years, I did not have anything. I didn't know what to do with that. Okay, I used to go into the account on a daily basis and look at it, and nothing will be there. Okay, today, if you really look at, people are looking at it every 5 minutes, 2 minutes, right? And I'm able to see some people, I don't know, I even wonder how they get time to post. Okay. So things are going to change. You need to really look at, and bias definitely can be minimized. It cannot be avoided. And if you really look at, this is my opinion, I don't know, tomorrow some technology will come and take out the bias and make it zero bias. But it is like zero defect. You can talk about zero bias. Can get closer.
Sure, I think your answer very clearly highlights how you're using the best principle of mechanical engineering and AI and coming it together. We just have time for one question. And I will prefer, if a female is asking, if they're not, then I'll come back to you. But while they're thinking about the question, I just have one very interesting data and fact. I'll complete it. Very interesting data and fact when you talk about the hardware. So last week, I met a very young guy who's got a great idea. And I was meeting him like an investor, that I can put money in that company. So what he's reached the level, he can make your smart TV work like a supercomputer. And if you need it only for 10 hours to do a project in 1 month, you just rent it for 10 hours, which means you will have a supercomputer with all the softwares and everything else that you need. You only pay for 10 hours, which means possibly at cost of something like $250, you would have completed very expensive software work using a supercomputer while you're only interacting with the smart TV. So that's the speed of things, even on the hardware, which is going to change. So yes, Vamsi, quick comment from you before we take the last.
Yeah, I just wanted to add one point in terms of the bias or whatever the output that we get from these models, right? So like everything in life, it's a learning process. It's a continuous learning that we do. We have to adapt, we have to learn. And that's what we built Durank as a model also. When we build whatever models that we deploy at a customer, we have a mechanism to take the feedback. You have a command control center, as I was saying. In that, there is an option where you can say, this is a false alarm, or whatever it is, the anomaly that you detect, if it's correct, not correct. So there is a feedback mechanism that comes back into our models, and then we retrain them, and that's how it becomes better. Is it 100% today? Not. But will it be tomorrow? No, because the 100% of today is different from 100% of tomorrow. That's something I wanted to add when Sir was asking the question in the morning. How do we rate from 1 to 10 in terms of the things that systems can do versus humans? The 10 of today is not the same as 10 of tomorrow. There is a change. Our expectations change, the values change, the perceptions change. So if we are there at 90% today, there is no guarantee that we will be 95% tomorrow. We may go down to 80%, or we may reach 99%. But 100% is always just an ideal. I don't think there is any time in our lives, at least, that we can reach that 100%. But yes, it's a continuous learning, and that's what we built our platform to do, our systems to do.
But Srini, I'll strongly recommend you take Abhijit as a consultant to develop AI within your company. His one question has woken up every panelist. Everybody wants to comment. So that he keeps giving you questions and every coder thinks I need to attend it. Yes, any questions from more intelligent people? Yes, I'm coming to you.
Hi, myself Haripriya, an analyst from Tech Mahindra. So I would like to be asking two questions. One's about perspective and the other is about scope in the future. I'll go with the scope first. So what scope does AI have in solving complex environmental problems? Any inputs on that from the panelists?
You
I'd
can
love to
complete
hear.
both your questions now, and we'll ensure that they answer.
Okay, sure. About the perspective kind of question, I'd like to know if what the panelists think about AI-generated art. Can it considered to be truly creative? The art generated by AI, can it truly be considered creative?
So first environment and then art. Thank you, Shri.
I'll probably take the second question. And
No,
then
first one
somebody else.
first. Because I know this second question, if taken earlier, it'll take 20 minutes. So to save the time, anybody wants to answer the first portion?
See, AI, like we were discussing about it, is all pervasive, right? I mean, it could be environment, could be anything. But the amount of work that's happening on the environment side is humongous. It could be as simple as getting what's the PM 2.5, PM 10, and NO2, SO2 on the ground, is what we have been seeing for the last few days. But a lot of work is happening on the weather side. A lot of work is happening on the ocean side. Probably the current compute is not good enough to give the so-called near real-time predictions at this point of time. Hopefully, the AI on quantum will solve those problems to become more real-time, but yes, it's happening.
Great. Vamsi, your choice.
So second question, I'd probably respond it with another question. Whatever we create, do we consider it real? It's not a copy. Whatever humans create. We imagine, it's not the same. It's basically, when I draw an art or a painting, I'm imagining, but it's there somewhere in real, somewhere else. I draw a mountain, there is a mountain. I am seeing what I am seeing, and then I'm imagining and adding things and then creating something else. My creation is not coming as a pure 100% creation. My creation is coming from the background of what I know, what I have seen, what I have learned. It's the same with any technology also, just like a human being. So what is truly, truly creative? Maybe it is, maybe it is not. It's your perception. Whether you think that what I'm doing is creative, what I'm drawing is creative, whether it is a novel that you're writing, whatever it is that you do, whether it's technology, whatever is the activity that you're doing, is it 100% creative, 100% natural? There is always yes and no. I'd stop at that. Not 20
Great.
minutes.
Thank you. Thanks so
I
much.
think,
I know there'll be more comments, but what I'm going to do is request everybody, not only for the panelists, for all the great questions. Let's clap for everybody together, and especially for the panelists. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Over to you, Doc.
Gary, the gentleman asked the young man from the security. When we started my career in 1987, 88, I started, we had only the typewriter and the telex.